New restrictions also come into effect in the United Kingdom tomorrow. More than 10 million people in London and surrounding areas will move back up into Tier 3, the UK's highest restriction level. Health officials have identified a new variant for the coronavirus in southeast England, and that's causing considerable consternation. Scientists are investigating further, as we're going to hear from Cindy Palm, who is in London. Cindy.
Good morning, Heather. So scientists believe that this new strain that we're seeing is the reason behind the infection rates, the growing infection rate that we're seeing here in London, as well as other parts of southeastern England. It's not 100%, but they believe the data shows that it is leaning in that direction. They do admit that more laboratory tests do need to be done. However, England's chief medical officer, Chris Whitty, is also trying to calm fears over this new strain. Here's what he said. Take a listen.
So far, there is no evidence that the symptoms are any worse or different from other variants of this coronavirus. And there are many variants. And I think it's not just there's one coronavirus and this is the variant. There are many variants. It just happens that this one has quite a few more mutations than some of the other variants. So that's the reason why we've taken it more, particularly seriously.
And Health Secretary Matt Hancock stresses there is nothing to suggest that this strain would not respond to a vaccine. The UK became the first country around the world to start administering the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine. It began in hospitals last week, and this week, family doctors' offices are getting deliveries. This is the first vaccine that has been approved in the Western world, and many more are still awaiting regulatory approval. Heather?
We're going to talk more about this variant in just a few minutes with one of our doctors, Cindy. Yes, interested in some of the perspective on this and how concerning it is. I'm also interested, though, in these new restrictions about to arrive in London and the southeast part of England. What does that mean for people who are living in those regions, and what does it mean for their holiday season?
And that's the big question that everyone is wondering. Originally, the plan was to relax restrictions around Christmas so that family members can gather. What we do know right now is that London and much of southeastern England, much of the country is under Tier 3 restrictions, which means that restaurants and bars have to close other than for takeout and delivery. Shops, however, do remain open. And there is, of course, the limit to the number of people you can gather with outdoors. You can't meet with anyone indoors with whom you do not live. So the government's going to review these new restrictions and on December 23rd, so just 2 days before Christmas, to figure out the path going forward. Health officials do warn that if people are meeting up over the holidays, over Christmas, to be really careful, particularly around your grandma, your grandpa, and those who are more vulnerable to infection and getting ill. Heather?
Cindy, thank you very much. There's Cindy Palm in London.